Hey, hello vinyl lovers. Uncle Roddus is back again from after a long hiatus from making videos and buying vinyl for that matter. Okay, well, yeah. What is it? It's the middle of June, so winter is well up truly upon us. It's a beautiful day here, but bloody cold. Had a good frost outside this morning, and I have a lot of records to show. This is going to be a long video. I haven't made a video for quite some time. I kind of had a break from it really. I was buying a few records before this big COVID-19 shutdown, but I wasn't really making any videos about that. But there wasn't, yeah, I mean I picked up a few things at the start of the year, but I've had quite a lot of stuff come in. So we're here in New Zealand, we've been really lucky. We've had very limited number of cases. We had a massive shutdown. Pretty much our whole society was closed. I spent 4 weeks, just over 4 weeks, sitting around home doing nothing, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do much. But you know, we survived that. We got a lot done around the house. Garden was looking good, and the house was looking all sorted and spring clean, and got a trailer full of rubbish to go to the dump, and the garage is clean, and all sorts of stuff. So it was quite a positive there, and now we're back at work, and things are really busy for me here at the moment. Like, I'm not struggling at all, so it'll be interesting to see. Unfortunately, this is not over by a long shot. Our borders are closed, no one's allowed into our country, and people that are coming home from overseas have to quarantine for at least 2 weeks in hotels, which is kind of nice. You get a holiday in a hotel for 2 weeks, paid for by the government, I believe. I'm not sure how that all works. Unfortunately, I've got some friends stuck overseas at the moment that can't get home because none of the countries are letting them travel, especially from the UK in particular. They can't come home via Singapore like they were supposed to, and they can't come home via the United States because both of those countries have closed their borders to transit travelling, so they're stuck where they are. Anyway, enough of that rubbish. Let's get on with the music, because that's what we're here for, isn't it? So there's been quite a lot of mail order stuff coming in. I have been picking up some new releases once I got back to work from flying out. There's been there's quite a lot of New Zealand stuff coming out at the moment actually. Very surprising how much is coming out, because a lot of people have been recording stuff while they were in lockdown, but not a lot of that's getting released on vinyl obviously, because it's too early, if they are going to. But there was a lot of stuff in the pipeline that had already been recorded beforehand, and with the new pressing plant up in Auckland, they seem to be very busy pressing local stuff, so quite a few of the stuff we're buying is getting pressed here locally, and they do a really good job of the pressings. I've had no complaints with the quality of the vinyl so far, although unfortunately I know one band had some issues with their pressing. They had 2 pressings done of their record. I'm still waiting on it. Apparently it's finally been repressed by another company overseas, and they are getting it here this week, which is really unfortunate. But I think it wasn't so much the pressing of the vinyl at the factory here in New Zealand, it was actually the masters that were cut overseas that were the faulty problem by the sound of it. But unfortunately the band got a bit pissed off after 2 attempts and told them to stick it and got someone else to do it. Anyway, so I got a bunch of stuff that is coming from flying out and a few other purchases via Bandcamps. But I was very surprised last week, or the week before last, to get a phone call from a wholesaler saying that there was a promotion going from one of the product brands that we buy through them, and I had won a $1,500 Prezi card. So the wife and I went shopping, spent the day in town shopping, which was kind of like the first day back after the end of the lockdown. Well, no, sorry, we were still in level 2 lockdown actually, but we were allowed to go shopping. I mean, to be honest, the social distancing was pretty much non-event at the malls that we went to, a couple of malls to do some stuff. Although there's lots of hand sanitising, and some shops were only letting a certain number of people in. So some people were making an attempt, but most people were just wandering around in malls. There were just too many people. But in saying that, there'd been no new cases in New Zealand for over a week at that stage, or 2 weeks almost. And we're up to 3 weeks now without any new cases. Anyway, so yeah, got a lot to get through. So yeah, I picked up something like 13 records plus more in the mail from that bonus that we had, and the wife got a whole lot of stuff in that. But what you're listening to in the background is one that I picked up via flying out, I believe. had no idea or anything about it, just kind of came across it and took a punt on it, and it is Magic Pixie Juice Mollymawk, limited edition. This is number 35 of 100, and this is great. This is really great. There's some great guitaring on here, and it's, you know, it's alternative sort of rocky sort of bogany type music. There's some interesting funny lyrics in that, and some interesting New Zealand name songs. Manga Kimo, I can't even say that, gosh, and Napier, and then I'm really enjoying it. It's been getting plenty of attention, yeah, so never heard of it before. Apparently it's out on Monster Valley Records, which I suspect is maybe their own label, and saying that, it says 003. This is maybe available on Bandcamp. There is a Bandcamp website here. Don't know if there's any copies left now. I really like that. I've been paying a lot of attention to it. So, Penny Lane last weekend with this nice big fat Prezi card, like a credit card, bonus card. First time I'd been to the shop, obviously, since before lockdown. Of course, missed out on Record Store Day this year, but the guys at Penny Lane said they are going to have their annual 50% off sale, and possibly before the end of this month. I have a point system available, as I've mentioned in many times in the past, from my wholesalers, and the credit up there is around about quite a lot, to have a really massively big shop up at the 50% off sale. So I need to get my shit together and do that. And also, we are so far towards being back to normal that tonight there is a gig on in town which I'm going to go and watch. About 4 or 5 punk bands playing. Quite looking forward to that. One of them's got a new album out. I don't think it's on vinyl. I'm not even sure it's on CD. It might just be a digital release only. But there's a couple of bands playing I've seen before, and that. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, went to Penny Lane. The wife and I spent a couple of hours in there last weekend, and I picked up first of up in the second hand this one here, Pelican. This is from 2019 on Southern Lord Recordings. I've got my reading glasses on, I still can't read some of this print. Yeah, Nighttime Stories. This is a double 45 RPM record at 44 minutes. Instrumental rock, really good, really like this. I mean, I'd seen, actually Roger, thank you I think you recommended this, or you showed some Pelican records. I'd never heard of them, knew nothing about them. This is a really good record. Probably could have done with it just being on one piece of vinyl instead of 2 at 45. It means I have to get up pretty quick and change things around, but never mind. So I haven't picked up much overseas stuff, but I did pick up a couple of 3 jazz records at Penny Lane that day, and this is one of them, Carla Bley, her dinner music from 1977. Now this is on her Watt 6 label, which is a label she kind of run with her partner, putting out her music, but it was distributed by ECM, so there is a mention of ECM on the bottom here. So in some ways I possibly could put this in with my ECM collection. Not sure what I was expecting with this, but you know, she has a connection with ECM and blah blah blah, and her ex-husband Paul Bley, I've got a couple of his records on ECM, I believe. This is really good. I really like this. It's not ECM music really. It's jazzy, almost fusion, almost funky in places. Quite a good little record. I'm very happy with it actually, and it only cost me $10. It wasn't a big ticket item. And it plays really well. It's really good nick. Might chuck the Pelican back in there. Excuse the naughty words coming out of the stereo behind us. Right, and then some more jazz I picked up at Penny Lane on that trip last week is Atlantis by McCoy Tyner, a 2-record set live in 1974. This is on Milestone Records. I think you just mentioned Milestone Records in your last video, Roger, if you're watching. So yeah, this is a double LP of live stuff. Not too bad. I've only had to listen to it actually once so far. It's a little gatefold. It's in pretty good nick. But yeah, there's a lot of jazz records at Penny Lane, but most of it I don't know what it is, and well, a lot of it I don't know what it is, but a lot of it is also just really kind of middle of the road stuff that I don't get into. But I was quite pleased to find this. Sorry about the glare, I've got the windows open, I should go and shut the curtains. Yeah, so Eric Dolphy's Outward Bound, now originally released in 1960. This is a prestige reissue from about 1964, I believe. It was interesting on Discogs, looking this up on Discogs, there were only 2 pressings done in 1960. One of them was here in New Zealand, but this isn't it. Eric Dolphy, Freddie Hubbard, Jackie Berg, George Tucker and Roy Hines. Pretty good lineup there, and it's a pretty damn good record actually. I'm really impressed with it, I really like it. Was pleased to pick up an ECM because I haven't bought one for ages, and this one here I'd never heard of or never seen before. So Stephen Meekus, The Music of Stones, recorded in the Cathedral of Ulm. I think that's what that says. It's a bit blurry the way he printed it out. So this is from 1989 on ECM Records, ECM 1384, and it was sealed. What did I pay for it? About $20, I think. It was sealed, so that was pretty out of it. So I give it a clean up, and I was thinking, I don't know what this is going to be like, and it's kind of got that new agey sort of ECM feel, but it's actually really, really good. It is quite a new agey kind of world music, maybe almost American Indian feel to some of the stuff on it. It's very minimalist, very sparse music, and of course being an ECM comes out of the stereo in an extremely good, beautiful quality, and it's quite captivating, and I've really been enjoying it. So that was a really, really good find. Right, so onto the New Zealand stuff. So this is some of the stuff I picked up last weekend. This one I picked up at the JB Hi-Fi shop. I don't normally go to JB Hi-Fi, but my wife wanted to find some DVDs, with that money we had. So I seen this one in there. Now I had heard about it, and I'd seen it on Flying Out. I wasn't sure about much about it. So I got on my phone and had a look online, and I was talking to Chris via Messenger, and he discovered that the guy is a New Zealander. This isn't put out in Australia in 2019. Heart of the Rat Records, Skyscraper Stand, Golden Boy Volumes 1 and 2. I mean, it's just a slight, sort of a compilation of stuff he's done. I don't think he hasn't released anything else on physical formats, but he was a New Zealander, but he is living in Sydney, so the fact that he's an ex-Kiwi and he's only just across the ditch, that qualifies him for me to buy and put him in my record collection. Anyway, the description on one of the websites I looked at was Hank Williams meets Nick Cave. Now that's a pretty interesting sounding combination, and I think that was worth giving it a go. And I've been really enjoying this. It actually has a pretty strong Bob Dylan feeling to it. So yeah, I've been really, really enjoying it and like it, and pretty pleased that I picked it up. This one here, I think I got from Penny Lane, didn't I? The Datsuns Head Stunts record from, what's it? Sure, where is it? Why don't people put dates on their records? I'm not sure. I think it's from 2008. I don't know if this is an original issue or it's a reissue. I think it's a reissue of the original CD, I think. But so I've got 3 of the earliest Datsuns, and I hadn't really heard this. It's not. A couple of people said, it's not. They're not into it that much. It's pretty boring and blah blah blah, and they've kind of passed their prime. But there is some interesting stuff on here, and there's some good guitar work. I mean, they're a pretty accomplished band. So a couple of listens, and it is growing on me slowly. Yeah, it isn't their best stuff, but pretty cool. So on my travels online, I'd kind of seen this somewhere come up, and I couldn't remember what it was. And then I'd been in the Penny Lane actually the week before we got the money to spend, and I'd seen this, and then I got home and I thought, shit, now what was it? Was that one that I didn't really interest me that much and I had to listen to it, or what was it? I can't remember. And it wasn't that easy to buy it online. I think you can buy it straight from their website in the end. It wasn't like on Bandcamp or anything, so it wasn't quite so easy to buy, but it's still there. Anyway, this was in the second hand new arrival's bin, and only had $30 on it, but it is pretty much brand new, although it wasn't sealed. And it's a Christchurch band from my hometown, where Penny Lane is situated. From 2019, recorded in Littleton at Bone Line and in Waipara. And apparently David McCulhey is one of the members. He was an ex-member of the JPS Experience, or the John Paul Sartre Experience, which is a really cool New Zealand band from the 80s. So a bunch of older musicians here put together a really cool band. So the record was still there when I went back last weekend, and I grabbed it, and I'm really impressed with it. It's got a real belter space sort of feel to it in places, and it's a bit of a mix of stuff. So yeah, really enjoyed it. This one had slipped out a couple of years back, I believe, and I'd sort of missed it. So this is one I actually picked up off Flying Out. So I'd been listening to Chris's first post-COVID-19 Counting the Beat podcast there a couple of weekends ago, and he played a track off this. I think it was the double track first side. Spurber is the name of the guy, or Dan Spurber, but then he spells it SPEB3R. The record is called Think on Your Feet. So this is a really good record, and he is a massively good guitar player. It's some really beautiful jazz guitaring on here, jazzy type guitaring, but it's more kind of a country folksy, jazzy kind of music, and it's really nice. It's quite subtle music, and I've really enjoyed it. And when Chris played that track, I was absolutely, like, wow, this is really good. Got straight online, managed to find probably the last copy on Flying Out. It's been out since 2018. Brand new off the press just this week, I believe, is this record by a band called Olympus. I have their first LP, this is their second. Olympus are mainly Stefan Neville, he of Pumice fame, and Paul Krause, he of Krause fame, who I have records of both of those guys. They have put out a lot of music, but not all of it on vinyl. This is pretty lo-fi kind of alternative pop, sort of weird sort of music. There are full bands on most of the tracks, and with listings of the people playing on them. I think it's a limited edition of about 150 copies. I definitely like it more than the last record they did. The Olympus record they did, the first Olympus record that came out, had been out for quite some time, and before I picked it up. This is something a little bit different. I again picked it up off Flying Out this last week or two. The Upper Hut Posse, they've been around. They were originally kind of one of New Zealand's sort of earlier rap bands, and they were around in the early 90s, I think they started out. This is from 2011. They kind of evolved. This is a lot more reggae on it than rap, to be honest. But it's a good record, yeah, and it's from 2011. Can't tell you too much more about them, but I mean their name was more than familiar to me. Another one hot out of Flying Out just this last week or so is this one. Now, this is a band called PHF, and I can't remember what PHS stands for, but something about haircut. The haircuts. The middle letter stands for haircuts, but I can't remember what the other two stand for right this minute, unfortunately. This is actually a release from 2014. I'm not sure how limited it was, but some copies have turned up, and there's been quite a lot of that lately. There's been copies of records that were released 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago that people have had. They never sold them all, and they had copies sitting under their bed or in their garage or whatever, and they then put the vinyl revival in full swing, and they've been putting them back out. So I've picked up some great records like that. So, but these guys have only just put out another record, and then it's called Anthology, which is a compilation. And excuse me, I need to just put the record back. Unfortunately, the compilation seems to have sold out. It must have been fairly limited, and I never managed to get my hands on a copy, and it's disappeared off the Facebook, off the Flying Out page. So I will hopefully get it. I mean, I think you can still buy it on their Bandcamp page, but it was like going to be shipped from overseas, or the shipping was too dear or something like that. I can't remember. But this one's got some interesting stuff on it. I'm still not sure on that one. So some of the ones I picked up another one I picked up at Penny Lane going to be hard to see this. This is a guy who's calling himself Lontelius. This is his at least second record on vinyl, or maybe just his second record, I'm not sure. It's sort of indie poppy, chamber poppy, solo sort of record. Can't say too much about it. I only listened to it once, twice, and hasn't. I know there's one song I know it quite well because Chris had played it fairly recently on his recent show. Was it a show before lockdown? I can't remember now. Anyway, so that's cool. Second-hand record I picked up out of Flying Out. Flying Out are starting to put some of their second-hand stuff up on their Facebook, on their internet page, which is really good, on their shop, so I can buy them. And I've been looking for this for a while. This is in really good nick. This is from 1991, 6 volts. Now, this is one of the Braille Records collective bands. This is kind of on Braille Records, but it was licensed to Festival Records, so it's actually more of a mainstream release. And this is probably also their most mainstream and accessible release that they put out. But I really like it. I think it's Crying Shame, which is the last song on side 2. I actually knew that song quite well, so obviously got some airplay around on student radio or whatever back in the day. It's quite a nice song actually. Yeah, but this is definitely a lot more accessible than their other stuff. I have another 6 volts album which preceded this by a couple of years, which is pretty cool, but yeah. Anyway, so this one I've been anticipating for quite a while. Chris had played a single that they put out on his podcast last year, Swallow the Rat. The album was The Leaving Room. So this is, a combination of guys from Texas and New Zealand, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it was. And some of the guys have been in bands that I've got records of before. So the two singles, two sides of the singles open, side 1 and side 2, each song. And yeah, at first it's a good record, but I wasn't like, I really enjoyed the single, and it's like, it's not quite, but it's actually, now I've had a few listens to it, it's starting to grow. I mean, it's sort of alternative rocky sort of stuff, not punk or anything like that, but it's kind of rocky, and it's kind of alternative, and it's kind of cool, and it's growing on me, and I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more. This one only just arrived, I don't know, yesterday I think. This is a repress of Die 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 Records' Promises. Again, Chris had played a track off this. This has been out for a wee while now. It sort of must be self-repressed because there's no record label at all there, is there really? No, nothing. Apparently this came out on vinyl when it was originally released several years ago, maybe even back in the early 10s. Chris said it sounded really, really bad and lightweight and tinny and that, so he said this sounds a lot better. I like Die Die Die, but I'm not a huge fan of them. But need to give them more attention. But then, like I say, that's only just arrived. Okay, so I think this is one I got from Flying Out as well. That's the front cover there, and this is the back cover, and it's called Hamerkop. Remote is the name of the record, out on Flying Nun in association with Drag City. Now, Hamerkop, this is also a new collaboration between a New Zealander and an American. And this is actually Annabelle Alpers, and she was Bachelorette. And Bachelorette, was she Bachelorette? Yeah, I'm sure she was. She put out several really good records as Bachelorette. This is bloody awesome. I mean, and there's a couple of really, really impressive tracks. This is kind of electronic-y, dreamy, poppy, weird, alternative. It's got a real feel to it that I know something that I've heard before out of England a few years ago, and it reminded me of them, but I just couldn't quite think of the name. And I think I've got a CD that it reminds me of. But anyway, I'm really, really enjoying that. Oh, we've got a lot here. This one here, Tiny Ruins, is the first record I have bought by her out on Milk Records from last year. I had seen her play live. I knew her music through Chris again, but to be honest, when I saw her live, I wasn't all that impressed. I didn't even stay for the end of her gig, to be honest. but Chris played a track off this which I really enjoyed, and so I picked this up, seeing as was that at Penny Lane? No, I picked that up at Flying Out, I think. I can't remember. Got so many records. But anyway, so yeah, this is a good album. I'm quite enjoying it. It's been out for a while. It's obviously not one of those really limited releases because it's still around. So also in Penny Lane, I picked this up last week. I'd never heard of it. Mousy, Lemon Law. Now she's a Christchurch singer, songwriter, female singer, songwriter, who writes this kind of dreamy, Beatlesque type poppy sort of music. So the guys in the shop said, yeah, we think she's not bad. It's not like really commercial pop, but it is quite poppy. Yeah, but not bad. I got a bit of a Fiona Apple vibe from it, so I thought that was quite cool. The first time I listened to it anyway. I've only had a couple of listens so far. Recorded here in Christchurch, I believe. Looks like it's self-released. There's not any label. So I didn't really know anything about it, but then I discovered that she got nominated for a Silver Scroll Songwriting Award last year. I didn't realise that she was one of the, because I was focused on some of the other nominations. I was really rapt to find this on Flying Out. This turned up. Again, this is one of these records that was released back in 2017. I'd tried to find copies of it when I first heard a track that Chris had played off it, and I couldn't. It had been sold out off their Bandcamp, and it disappeared off the internet, it disappeared off Bandcamp, and then some copies had turned up that again the artist himself must have had sitting around and hadn't sold. So really pleased about that. So Mulaney and Malik, Rashi Malik is a pianist, and Paul McClaney was a singer in a band called Gransky, who I have one of their CDs I really enjoy from the early 2000s. This is a piano vocal kind of ballad record, but very strong. He's got a fantastic voice. It's a really good record. As it always is the case, Chris playing music on his show gives me information and exposure to new music all the time from New Zealand, and he played a track off this. I'd been aware of the record, but I hadn't got around to buying it, and I didn't really know what it was. Turned out that it's bloody awesome. Limited to 300 copies. This is screen printed cover that was done in Italy. You can feel the texture of it. This is hugely firmly rooted in the 60s. Incredibly cool bass lines, wonderful guitaring, fantastic songs. This is an absolute stunning record, and I have been giving it a lot of play. Ed was around the other night, we had a listen to it. He was most impressed, so that was really cool. Another one that I think I'd heard on Chris's show and seen around on the websites and that. I picked this up at Penny Lane last weekend. Scott Mannion's Loving Echoes. Can't say too much about this. I've only actually played it once on Little Chief Records from 2019. Singer-songwriter, sort of poppy singer-songwriter type music. This one here, Luke Hurley, again another one I heard on Chris's show recently, or this year. Happy Isles, from it was recorded late last year, so it must only just come out earlier this year. Kind of real blues feel to his guitaring, so it's just him and a guitar. Captured and produced in Diamond Harbour. Interesting. So it's obviously some sort of home recording, but it's pretty good recording. Just him and a guitar. Got a real kind of blues sound to his guitar. It's quite good. Need to give it more attention because I haven't played it a lot just yet. Two left. Wow. So also at Penny Lane, I managed to find a copy of this, and now it actually had cropped up on Flying Out, but this came out. This is 2011 LP that He'd Like a Hole put out, I think on CD originally. This came out on vinyl only a couple of years ago. I think 2018. It's a double vinyl. Is it 45 RPM? I think it is. Yeah, I'm not sure the actual release. I'm pretty sure it was around about 2011 is the original release. So Head Like a Hole reissued their first LP on vinyl for the first time a couple of 3 years ago, and so I grabbed a copy of that. And then this one turned up, and I didn't manage to have any funds available at the time, and it disappeared. It was on their Facebook page, and they had two versions of it: a red vinyl like that, very lovely blood red. And they had a blood splatter vinyl as well, which of course sold out very fast. But I remember several people on Facebook posting it, and I didn't manage to score a copy. But so yeah, again, you know, some copies never got obviously sold. I think this is limited to 385 copies of each. No, 385 copies of this one and 100 copies of the splatter, I think. So this is a band who were around in the early 90s. Their first album came out in the early 90s, and I've got a compilation that covers quite a bit of their career up until this, and it's a really great compilation. They put out some fantastic songs, some great albums. I need to get more of them. This is fucking great. This is good heavy rock, but a lot of variation on it, different types of heavy rock, and fuck, it's still they really rock out, really good sound, excellent record. Really pleased to get it. Really enjoying it. Just proves that they are one of New Zealand's premier hard rock bands. I think they're way better than She Had. Frankly, to me, they are way better. And finally, brought directly from the artist themselves, Blood Bags. Blood Bags I've shown before. They have a couple of 7-inches out. I have one of their 7-inches. Very lo-fi, garagey, punky, rock sort of stuff. This is a split LP with Brain Bags, who I think are out of the States. So Blood Bags and Brain Bags. I haven't listened to this a lot. It's very lo-fi, so it's difficult for me and that side of things. But they're pretty punky. Yeah, I'm still not sure how much I like this one. So, wow, that's a lot of records, and we're going 32 minutes. That's a bloody long video, so you're probably all bored shitless and turned off by now. Anyway, so, prattle on. So, yeah, things are really in full swing as far as vinyl's concerned. That's basically, it's been, 3 weeks since shutdown ended, and that's pretty much all that vinyl's coming in that 3 weeks. And if the Penny Lane are having their 50% off sale in the next week or two, wow, there's going to be a lot of more records to show. Plus, I've still got